Every word is $1. How much do you want to spend? What's your budget to intro this guy who's never going to appear again? Not, I would suggest 5 lines, but the dialogue is good. This is a recording taken from a free live class that I give from time to time to my email subscribers. Let's get stuck in. Horribly troubled and heavily sedated, a confused graduate moves back in with his parents, struggling with past regrets and a collapsing sense of purpose, forcing him into a quiet battle between self-destruction and self-discovery. Horribly troubled and heavily sedated is a good title, I think. There are a lot of writers in their 20s, I don't know how old Nate is, who write about characters who are sort of lacking in direction.
Some people are okay, but mostly I just feel like poisoning everybody.
And generally, you want characters to be active. And a quiet battle between self-destruction and self-discovery doesn't sound that fun, but horribly troubled and heavily sedated does, so it may be very funny. Let's have a look at this, because I think it does have some qualities, but it takes a while to kick in. Office lobby. Miles Parle. Well put together young man in too large of a suit with a toned athletic body, a strong jawline, a face that's quick to charm whoever's nearby, sits in the corner of a large empty lobby. His elbows rest on his legs, his chin in his hands. He leans forward as his legs bounce anxiously. The noise around him fades as his concentration sets on a nearly dead flower in a vase across from him. Bathroom. Miles stares into the mirror, pulls out a flask, chugs. Miles returns to the nearly dead flower, his eyes now a bit glossier than before. A bead of sweat drips down his forehead. Across the room, a door opens, assistant enters. Miles Parle? His eyes dart up. He smiles softly. Miles sits in a sleek office with University of Michigan decor throughout. Across from him sits Anthony Rose, who appears far older than he truly is due to a harsh hairline, wrinkles, a fake tan that creates a mask on his face. His suit screams, "I'm better than you." His devilish grin screams, "And I want you to know that I know it too." Miles's leg bounces faster till he sets his hand on top of it, digs his nails deep into his skin. So Miles, tell me about yourself. Well, ever since I was a kid, I've had a love for buildings. To me, they're not just piles of bricks. They're the stories of who built it, lives in it, works in it. Stories are important because once you're gone, that's just about all you leave behind that can't be burnt, bought, or broken. That's why I decided to pursue architecture at Central Michigan. And that's why I'm here today. I'm ready to make an impact and tell a story of my own. Burnt, bought, or broken, huh? Did you practice that before you came in here? Miles, it's been a pleasure. Yeah, it takes big guts to walk in here and spew some script you've read to every place that's offered you an interview. I'm sorry. What's happening right now? There's a lot of conflict, and I love this guy. And the reason why I didn't read any of the scene description is because I think it gets in the way of the read. You've got your main character giving a cracking bullshit pitch, and then this guy destroying him in the room, saying, "Have you spewed it out to every place that offered you an interview?" So at that point, I'm totally in. But the issue is that it's delayed gratification. I've got to get through 3/4 of a page before we get to Miles, tell me about yourself. And it's a bit like, I read about a comedian, went into writing, and he used the analogy that as a comedian, he has to hit the ground running. He can't go on stage and say, "I'm going to be funny in about 10 minutes time."
I don't have a ton of jokes.
You've got to be funny out of the gate, or scary out of the gate, or mischievous out of the gate. You've got to hit that moment. I want you to look at the shapes on the page here. This is what you probably want to avoid. 7 lines of text. This. So, Miles Parle. Well put together young man in too large of a suit with a toned athletic body, a strong jawline, a face that's quick. Sorry, I've run out of breath. And if I can't read it without a second breath, and if you can't read your sentence without taking a second breath, it's almost a guaranteed that sentence is too long. Where is the verb? Sits in the corner. So He's well put together. Okay, too large of a suit. The fact that he's toned and athletic, the fact that he's got a strong jawline and a face that's quick to charm. He's not very charming. He hasn't charmed anybody. And look at that key verb. He sits. He sits here. This guy sits. Everybody's sitting. So swap out, sits, stands, come up with a way. If he cowers in the corner of a large empty lobby, large, there's a suboptimal adjective. This is a vast lobby. The fact that his elbows rest on his legs, we're marionetting the character. We're literally saying, I want the actor to do this. It doesn't matter. You need to just get one little acting beat in, which is a bit like Saving Private Ryan. He's got his uncontrollable shake in his hands. This guy, he's got this twitch. That's all you need. Now, the fact that the noise around him fades, his concentrating sets on. This is slightly awkward. You say, the noise around him fades. He fixates on a dying flower in a vase. We don't need to say it's across from him. There is a wonderful save the cat moment. If you see that he's staring at this dying flower in a vase, and he goes into the bathroom to get some water to save it, save the flower. I'd love this guy. At the moment, he goes in and has a chug, and he comes back with eyes that are glossier than before. Try and avoid the look in the mirror scene, which is such a tropey scene. I talked about be careful about the wake up scene or the breakfast and toast scene, which is in sort of 70% of scripts that I read. But characters who look in the mirror and think, who am I? That's a bit of a tropey one. If you're enjoying this class, I've got a Scooby sense that you're going to absolutely love my free 50-minute masterclass. 7 mistakes stopping you getting an agent. It's essentially a taster class for my paid program, the Scriptfella program, but there are a ton of valuable, actionable techniques that you can take away today. So click on the link and get stuck in. And now we are going to plunge back in to the live dive. The key line here is a bead of sweat drips down his forehead. And we've got across the room, and we've got entering, just an assistant calls out. Miles Parle, his eyes dart up. We don't need him to smile softly. He smiles. This is just, it's all delayed gratification. If you look at the description of the warden in the Shawshank Redemption, it's absolutely masterful. It talks about this guy. He's a colorless man in a grey suit, flinty eyes with a church pin. It's just brilliant. It's not that. So character introductions are so important. There's an hour of videos on how to introduce your characters, because if you don't introduce them well, you're not going to get the actor, because they will say, no, I don't want to do it. This is not interesting. But you can change the lens of the reader on the entire script by changing the character introduction. It just brings them into focus. He faces off against Anthony Rose. Get it in 2 lines. Every word is $1. How much do you want to spend? What's your budget to intro this guy who's never going to appear again? Not, I would suggest 5 lines, but the dialogue is good. We don't need to marionette him. Raises his eyebrows. Okay, yes. You want a bit of reaction, but the fact that he readjusts himself, some of this is just marionetting. And look, he raises his eyebrows here, and he raises his eyebrows here. So he's just eyebrowing it. Swap them out. Smile falls from Anthony's face. I don't know why he's not smiling. Stare each other for a moment. Just stare each other. Smile quivers. That's a great description because it's got conflict. Final Draft don't actually call it scene description anymore. They call it action. You want to write scene action, not scene description. So I think that this has the potential for a really good rug pull scene. We're overwriting by about 70-80% in the character introductions. The use of language is suboptimal. The adjectives, the verbs. But if Nate could learn to only curate the essentials to the reader, this is a banging scene. And the scene doesn't change. What changes is the reader's feeling for it, how the reader experiences it.